The rural way of life is about making everyone feel at home. Tractor Supply chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform intelligent customer service. Together, we put the power of AI to work across 2,200 stores, keeping things running seamlessly inside, curbside, and countryside. This is elevated customer experience. This is Tractor Supply with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
The man who people stay up all night or all morning waiting to hear. They look forward to each and every week. A man who is an authority on the world of history, current events, sports, you name it. I am very, very pleased to welcome back to the program New York Times bestselling author, the co-host of Fox and Friends, and a nationally syndicated radio talk show host, Brian Kilmeade. Brian, are we getting tickets to the Subway Series? What do you think?
Wow, I mean, what a grand slam for Lindor, trailing 1-0. You got the sense the Mets are going to come back, but loading the bases, no outs, then 1 out. Lindor steps up, pitching change, it's gone. 4-1, and Philadelphia doesn't recover. I was traveling to my daughter's soccer game, so I was stuck in Connecticut, so I had to listen to the Philadelphia feed on XM Sirius. And you've never heard such depression.
Oh, I'm sure.
But you have never heard anything quite like this. They could not think of anything Philadelphia could do better than the Mets. And they say, what happened to our team? Like, who are these guys that we're playing? And number one. And two is the Yankees have had this in the past. You get off to this great start. And I'm not saying any win is not important, especially when you have to, you win a division by 1 or 2 games. You still want to be hot in the spring. Because what happens is you coast in the summer, and then you get a few days off when you win the division. And you just can't, this momentum thing in baseball more than anything else, because football you got to heal, really is a problem. But in the big picture, it's unbelievable. I mean, we have not, you'll never forget this season. Even Met haters will never forget this season because they were dead and buried. And the word was Steve Cohen's got to make a decision. Either go try to win now, go get a bunch of 40-year-old pitchers back, or just tear it down and build it up again. Don't go in between. And you end up 0-5 and 26 and 32 or whatever, or 38.
Yep.
And be like, well, no one's going to the Met games. They're done. And now look.
Well said. I mean, I was there, and it was very exciting to be there. I got to tell you, it was a magical night.
You were there?
Yeah. No, an incredible.
So you've been up all night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I usually am up at 5 p.m. to begin with, but yeah, no, I've been. It's been an exciting last 20 hours. I'll tell you that. All right. Hey, what's going on with this hurricane, Brian? We've been getting updates. I know that there are 3 million plus people without power. We've heard from a few listeners in Florida. What are you hearing about how bad this situation was?
I mean, it seems to have sadly lived up to the hype. I'm going to wait on the numbers. They keep on getting revised. Every time I put them into my notes, I look up again and they're revised. But look, I think people did the right thing, and they really got out of the way. And Helene was the wake-up call in Florida. They know how to do it in Florida. The other thing is, the only thing I could tell you is you could not be more competent than Governor DeSantis. When you have Joe Biden saluting Governor DeSantis over and over again, and by the way, it was a shot at Harris, who was complaining that DeSantis doesn't return her calls, and they asked him the question. He said, he's been doing a great job. So he says, the state is in the lead, and this is what we're doing. 40,000 here, Coast Guard here. This is where we're going to put the line workers. Okay, and, we can't stop Mother Nature, but we can prepare to fix it and protect people. And compare that to North Carolina. Now, I know the terrain is different, and it really happens in the mountains, but this governor of North Carolina, awful. This president on vacation, again at the beach, the vice president at Nevada, and then you have the Army ready to go last week, and we discussed this last Thursday. The Army said we were ready 2 days after with 1,000 people. We're 1 hour away to fly into the mountains. We have Tim Kennedy. I have just Jonathan Allen, who joined me on Saturday night. These guys are private guys who got rich people to give them helicopters, and they're pulling people out of their houses. And they come out to a microphone and they tell their story. And next thing you know, the whole focus of this administration is disinformation. Disinformation. You're actually playing politics in the White House, naming Trump. Now, let's go over some of the disinformation. They only get $750. Excuse me. You know who said that? Kamala Harris. Well, we have to. FEMA is out of money. Where'd you come up with this disinformation? No, you know who said that? Mayorkas. Well, you know what FEMA does have money for? Illegal immigrants from FEMA's budget. Well, there's nothing to do with it. Well, it's in the same budget. When you have a checkbook and you have a FEMA budget, you give millions of dollars to illegal immigrants. Look at New York City. We don't get enough, but there's federal money here for illegal immigrants. So people bring that up and they say, well, that's misinformation. Well, then you give $100 million to North Carolina. That's fine. The next tweet, you give $157 million to Lebanon. Don't expect people not to be outraged. That's not misinformation. So to see the president, and I should not be surprised by now, and the vice president spend all this time on misinformation and how damage it does and naming Trump, to me, it just shows you how low people go. In the middle of a hurricane where you ask that question, the only message out of the White House is Donald Trump gives out misinformation based on what you told him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a reflection of my standards being so lowered that I kind of expect politicians to bicker with one another, even at the most inopportune times, including natural disasters. So I can't say that I was terribly surprised by anything that you just described, quite frankly. There's a few other items that I want to try to go over with you quickly, but one of the things that Kamala Harris was being criticized for was avoiding interviews. She had done very few interviews. Then she did the CNN interview, then one or two more. Now she's done this whole media tour with very friendly terrain. She went on Stephen Colbert. She went on Howard Stern. She went on the Call Her Daddy podcast. And now obviously she's being criticized for seeking out interviewers that are too friendly. What was your review of the Harris media tour that we've been in the midst of this week, Brian?
So a couple of things. I'll give the analogy to sports since we're in that mode. You have what you think is a good team, but I don't want anybody hurt. We're not going to tackle in practice. We're not going to wear uniforms. But they got talent, right? They got talent, they got money, great facilities, and they got to have sold out crowd. We're not going to play. Well, week one comes out. No one played in the preseason. No one even played tackle football in the offseason. They didn't play in the practice. And they're getting blown out. And they have a couple of good quarters, a couple of good plays, but they can't sustain it. They don't have the fitness. They don't have the toughness. They haven't built up the thick skin. They haven't gotten themselves mentally ready to play, even though they have all the talent and the experience. Well, it's great when the injury report comes out week one and you're ready to go as compared to other teams. But after week one, you find yourself all banged up, execution, you're doubting yourself and you're doubting each other and you're pointing fingers. What happened? You didn't go through the primary process. You didn't work your way through the vetting process. You didn't go out to the local interview that was a little tough and the national interview where you really excelled. You don't sit back with your staff and review tapes and debates of 8 people on the stage and it whittles down to 4. Each one of those steps is important. Not for me, not for you, not for the voters. I think that's important. Let's say 40% of it. 60% of it is you have to get better. You have to get better along the way. You got to emerge. You got to come out of this. You got to be a better listener, be a better debater. Man, I thought I knew the economy, and I'm sitting next to this governor from North Dakota. Man, that guy knows the economy. I got to go study. I got to get ready in 2 weeks. We're doing this debate again. And what happens over the course of 18 months? You rise or you fall. She fell in 2020. And then she did a terrible job for 3.5 years, did not put the effort in, did not study. And then out of nowhere gets the nomination. So she looks great, so much better than the guy she replaced. But when the contact starts, she's ill-equipped. When she leaves the DNC, she can't scrum, she can't compete, she can't ad-lib. And when they realize that, instead of getting her better, they protected her. And then they said, oh my God, we're even, which means we're losing. Go get him. Go get 60 Minutes, even though they edited it to make her look better. She still can't answer the fundamental questions, essentially why you're running, what is different about your economy than Joe Biden's economy, what's different about Joe Biden's policies and your policies. All she could say is how bad Donald Trump is. Well, we got that. Joe Scarborough's got that down. Anderson Cooper's got that down. You tell us what you're going to do, Miss Joy. And what happens is, Her message is muddled. Her instincts are bad. Her confidence is low. And you got another guy, the most experienced politician now in America, who is now winning in Michigan, according to the Q poll, and Wisconsin. And you say, well, she fell back and she did 4 interviews. That's what you wanted. Yeah, I wanted you to do that along the way. If I wanted the good things for my candidate, I'd want them getting bumps and bruises during the season to be ready for the playoffs. She got put into the playoffs without earning it, and it's showing every day. That Howard Stern was an embarrassment to Howard Stern and her. Stephen Colbert, we didn't expect anything different. The View, they just sat there and please don't lose. And then 60 Minutes, she had a rough time.
Yeah,
so, and now I thought, get out there.
I thought Bill Whitaker, again, we don't know exactly what was in the unedited version of that, but I thought Bill Whitaker did a pretty good job asking questions that you would think she would have anticipated. With that in mind, Brian, because really this election cycle, that 60 Minutes interview is the closest thing that we've seen to a presidential candidate undergoing an even remotely adversarial interview, with the exception of the Biden interview with George Stephanopoulos, which obviously played a role in him no longer being a presidential candidate. Do you think Trump made the right decision by skipping the 60 Minutes interview?
Yeah. And here's why. I went back and looked at it, and I don't know if I think I did play some Leslie Stahl things. What happens is, Frank, if you go up to certain people and tell them the laptop, the Russians, that whole thing was a hoax, and Hillary Clinton actually financed the dossier, and the laptop was real, and Hunter Biden did deals in Romania, China, as well as Ukraine with Moscow mayor. A lot of people will look at you, very smart people, and go, what are you talking about? Leslie Stahl was one of those people. What are you talking about? Hillary Clinton didn't do the dossier. We know she did. She got fined for it. Russia, there were legitimate links to you in Russia. No, there wasn't. Read the Mueller report. That laptop was real. No, they still aren't decided on that. So everything that Trump was saying, she's like, this is 60 Minutes. One of her quotes was, this is 60 Minutes. You just can't make things up. So what do you say to people that didn't put the foundation in to be able to debate you on a topic and just say it's not true? And then you see the way Leslie Stahl disdained for Trump even after he won the election, and the multiple interviews he did. And here's the big thing, Frank. If Trump does the interview, it's all January 6th. Did you win or lose the election in 2020? That's all it is. And did you say, are you still black? All of a sudden, she's black, when he said that to the black journalists over in Chicago. That's the whole interview. So why do that battle again and give them ratings? And know what it would have done? It would have swamped the Kamala Harris ratings. Instead, they whined about Trump blowing them off, and they put Harris on television. They edited her word salad answer, at least one, maybe more, that we could figure out. I'm sure some CBS whistleblower, if they had any conscience, would come out, but we know about at least one. So this focuses on Harris. If Trump had done the interview, he would have sat there with Scott Pelley. And Scott Pelley goes, on January 6th, you said this, and Liz Cheney said this. And he'd be like, what am I doing? You know the problems. This is all baked in, but that would have been the whole interview. So I think wise move.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Get ready for Universal Epic Universe, featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, and Super Nintendo World. Now open at Universal Orlando Resort. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
You know, there's been some discussion by the New York Times, and I know you covered this on Fox and Friends, about President Trump's cognitive ability. The headline in the Times was, Trump's speeches increasingly angry and rambling reignite the question of age. And there's 4 reporters that wrote about this. And basically the gist of this article, which took me a half hour to read, honestly, it's a lengthy article. The gist of this article is that the 78-year-old former president's speeches have grown darker, harsher, longer, angrier, and less focused, along with a bit more profanity. You've interviewed Donald Trump, I guess, since you started hosting Fox and Friends. I would think you'd be in a good position to judge if there was any sort of cognitive decline on his part. I'm sure you saw the article, Brian. What'd you make of it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I talked about it right away, and I played it. You could play it. Peter Baker, who I like, he's married. Him and his wife have become vehemently anti-Trump, but Peter Baker does a better job masking it. And he wrote a good book. I thought a very fair book on the Bush administration, the Iraq War. They did not want to cooperate, and they should have. But I thought he was very fair. And he doesn't go out of his way, but his wife is just off the charts. So he does this thing. It's like, okay, wait a second. I got Trump stuff. I keep throwing the Trump stuff, the lawfare. I don't got it. Let's just come up with something. He has not released his medical record. So let's do some type of verbal challenge with him and do some evaluation and make up some metric and then throw it out there. You know, number one, the main difference is that Trump was one of the most admired people in the country when he was hosting The Apprentice. He was very famous in the 80s, hosting The Apprentice. One of the most admired. People go to him for business things. They want him to host events, and it was the number 1 to 5 show for the longest time. And then 45% of the country, let's say 60% of the country, let's say 55% of the country, well, not only will vote for him, they hate him. And he's getting attacked. They attack everything that we have attacked. No reason for me to go through the lawfare and trying to take his freedom away, trying to put him in jail, trying to take his money away, and then try to make him eligible to run for president away, try to kick him off the ballots. I think he is a little bit short-tempered. I think it's definitely, and if you think about it, Frank, when we don't have enough sleep in our jobs, and let's say we come in and Chad comes up to you and says, Frank, that wasn't a great show yesterday, and you walk outside and your car's got a ticket on it, and then you go and you're stuck in traffic, and then there's flooding in the Midtown Tunnel, you try to get home, and then you get out of your car and someone says to you, why'd you park there? You're going to fly off the handle. With Trump, he's quicker to say, man, what's with this country? Look what they're doing to me. And maybe talking a little bit more about himself and feeling free and almost venting more on the stage. But that isn't, to me, a sign of age. It is a sign of stress. And you will see that get better because I think he knows he's winning. And he has hated, obviously, since 2020, the sense that he got robbed. Everybody knows it. And now he sees it. Out of all the stuff they do, keep in mind, they got a monitor at Trump Tower every day. They got to almost okay everything they do through this monitor because of Letitia James and the stupid court cases they put out there and the, I think, ridiculous defamation suit that he lost with a woman that's sued 5 other people for the same thing who he doesn't remember meeting. So, I mean, everywhere he went, there's stress. And I think that is what it's about, not 78. By the way, you're talking about a 78-year-old does 3 events a day and could talk for an hour and a half. A 78-year-old that's declining does 2 events tops, talks for 20 minutes in front of 100 people, and then goes back and shuffles off into his plane. Does anyone think Trump is shuffling? He got shot and popped up again. Yeah,
so we'll list you as undecided in terms of Trump's cognitive ability based on that description.
And I said it right away. I took that on right away Sunday.
I know. I noticed
I tweeted that out.
Brian Kilmeade got a great show coming up on radio. Rich Lowry's going to be on. Trace Gallagher's going to be on. A lot of interesting stuff to cover. I got to ask you, Brian, before we run out of time here, the coach of the Jets fired. This is the only firing in New York that is apparently not attributable to the Eric Adams scandal at City Hall. Right move? Were you surprised by this?
Well, they want to save their season. I don't go to the locker rooms like I used to, where you can talk to people and they go, "Yeah, he's lost the team, he's got the team," or they're underachieving. But I think he seems like a great guy. I mean, 6 kids. Every day he had a different shirt. I remember when Massapequa won the Nassau County or the Rutgers Cup or whatever they call it now. He wore their jersey, like he wore their T-shirt out because they're an undersized team that overperforms. Like he does a lot of cool things. He was a very emotional, respected defensive coordinator. He had no shot of winning his first year, and then they drafted the worst quarterback in the NFL, Zach Wilson, and they stuck him with him. And then he gets hurt. Now, this year was a disappointment. They did seem unorganized. They don't seem on the same page. Mm-hmm. So he wanted to take the play calling from Hackett, who did a terrible job in Denver and was terrible last year. So now it looks like Aaron Rodgers went in and goes, look what he tried to do to my friend. So Woody walked in and said, you're fired. They're trying to save the season. We're about to find out. I mean, I like you said, I was enthusiastic about the Jets. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers' struggles is age-related. Just like I don't think Trump's is age-related. I just think it's they are just out of sync. But they got the talent on the roster. And look for Devontae Adams. I was surprised he didn't come this week. If it's a reasonable ask from the Raiders, the Jets are doing it.
It's going to be very interesting. Brian Kilmeade, we'll be watching you on Fox and Friends, listening on radio. I'll see you at the Subway Series, Mets and Yankees.
All right, let's see. Well, the Mets will be there.
Exactly.
The Yankees
exactly. Brian
right,
Kilmeade,
man.
thank you.
Go get him.